adjust it right. Let's fix it up a little bit better. Okay. This is Moshe coming to you from Israel in the Galilee on the, what is it, the 9th of May already. Wow, 10 in the morning. It's going to be hot today in Israel. We're going to, I think, hit 90? No, yeah, 93. It's 80 already. I'll probably have to put the AC on in a little while. Okay. Let me jump into the chat and make sure we got sound and picture and all the other good things that need to happen. We have sound and picture. Please don't post in the chat for a couple of minutes so I can get my posts up, please. Hang on, don't post in the chat for a minute or two so I can get my posts up there, which will be quick. Almost finished. Okay, I'm done with the posts. Feel free to post. People are coming in. We got sound and picture. If you want a prayer request, you can post it up in the chat and it'll get done. Okay, I check the chat periodically during the live stream. I don't sit there and stare at it all day, but I check it periodically, okay? Being a Bible-believing site, I'm going to start by doing some praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay. So we did get a solution from my wife's phone dilemma. We got another chip for her, well, an eSIM from another company, and she doesn't get a signal in the house, but she gets a signal 2 blocks away. Weird. So there's a way with her phone where she can have the calls forwarded to the Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi in the house is very good, and it even goes out on the property. So she can just set that, and then people call, and it gets forwarded out, and she can it's a rough situation. They're doing some construction regarding our tower, and I don't know, it's another way to go. I don't know, it's a real mess. Anyway, it's a solution. It's not a great solution, but it's a solution anyway. So we do have one prayer request, and I'll cover that right now so there's no forgetting. For LRO, Larry Robert Oscar. LRO, Larry Robert Oscar. The prayer is for healing, for LRO, healing prayer. Okay. So what we're going to cover today is America. We're going to cover the daughter of Babylon in greater detail. We're not going to change any of our doctrines here. We're going to get into more details, more language translation, and more depth. And we're not changing anything in terms of doctrine or generality or anything like that, just more details. And I'm going to start off by giving you some facts about the American government now that might be shocking to some of you, particularly concerning Barack Hussein Obama and Biden. "75% of Biden's key people on his staff come from the Obama administration." Obama once said, trying to be very snide and a wise guy and show everybody how cool he is, once said, and it wasn't a long time ago, that he wouldn't want to be president sitting in the White House again, but he wouldn't mind running the country from an office in his house. Well, I think this is to a very overwhelming extent what's going on. And let me give you some particulars so you understand the sickness that's taking place here. Antony Blinken. Now we hear about him coming to Israel all the time. He chaired the Interagency Deputies Committee, the main forum for hammering out the administration foreign policy for Obama. During the first term of Obama's administration, Blinken was the national security advisor to then Vice President Joe Biden. He previously served as the Deputy National Security Advisor from 2013 to 2015, Obama, and Deputy Secretary of State from 2015 to 2017. I believe that was with Hillary Clinton, or maybe not, under President Obama. When Clinton became, it was the next one. When Clinton became Secretary of State under Obama, Jake Sullivan, joined her as Deputy Chief of Staff and Director of Policy Planning and traveled with her to 112 countries. This Jake Sullivan worked in the Obama administration as Deputy Assistant to the President and National Security Advisor to Vice President Joe Biden. These are the two big people, well, two out of the three big people that are giving Israel a lot of trouble right now. Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, he became the commander of CENTCOM on March 22nd, 2013, after being nominated by Obama in late 2012. Austin was preceded as CENTCOM commander by General Mathis, which I think was under, well, anyway, that's who it was. I think it was under Trump, whom Austin would later succeed as Secretary of Defense. Now we come to somebody whose name doesn't pop up. Avril Danica Haynes, Haines. Born in August 1969 is an American lawyer and serves as the Director of National Intelligence in the Biden administration. National Intelligence Director. And you could see there's some pretty big, bad things happening in America. She's the first woman to serve in this role. Haynes previously served as Deputy National Security Advisor and Deputy Director of the Central Intelligence Agency in the Obama administration. You see the garbage? Now we go to Ron Klain, Klain. This is Biden's chief of staff, so he's in charge of all the other characters. He previously served as chief of staff to two vice presidents, Al Gore from 95 to 99 and Biden from 2009 to 2011. That's when Biden was vice president under Obama. He was also appointed by President Obama as White House Ebola response coordinator after the appearance of Ebola virus in the United States, and he was serving from 2014 to 15 in this capacity. So I think it looks very likely that Obama is running America from an office in his house. I can't prove it, but it's likely. We all wonder how Biden could be running things and making decisions because he, as Trump says, has trouble finding his way off the stage. And that's, if you're not going to be able to find your way off the stage, how are you going to find your way, around the international politics? So this seems to be an answer as to who's really running America. The trail of breadcrumbs here is massive. Mainstream media doesn't dwell on this. They just say, how could Biden possibly be running America? Well, that's a good criticism. I don't know how. Myself, the guy's old. He's feeble. He stumbles. Dementia, disorientation. How could he be? Doesn't add up. This adds up. Now, Obama hated Netanyahu. Obama also hated Trump. Ring any bells? And look at the problems Trump has today. Now, from their point of view, there's going to be an election in November 2024. They don't ever think they're going to fall, okay? So they believe there's going to be another election. And Obama would very much want to see Biden sitting there as the figurehead, He goes to ceremonies, he makes a speech. He can't do a debate with Trump. He can't handle that. He wouldn't be able to cover it. He couldn't do it. You're going to be like the only president to never do a debate against an opponent. Putting Obama in for a third time wasn't something they wanted to do. First off, Obama was very uncomfortable in the spotlight in the White House. He didn't like it. He has himself a nice estate, I think, near Washington, D.C. someplace. And, it's probably on 2, 3, 4 acres, nothing. He's probably got, I saw pictures of it from the air. He's got probably 5 to 7 or 5 to 8,000 square feet. Got some outbuildings, you know, it's very secluded, private. That's what he likes. Um, and he is with the whore. Okay? Trump's probably with the whore too, but wants to be sitting in the White House. Now, I'm saying this as the, you know, Obama and Biden are not with the beast, they're with the whore. They're trying to get rid of Israel. They're trying to elevate America and keep control. Now, can we argue that that Obama and Biden are really with the beast and want to destroy America? Well, I don't think so. They're fighting so hard against Trump. You know, if they were just going to destroy America, they wouldn't put any time and attention into Trump. They'd ignore it. They'd just say, it doesn't mean anything, and it's never going to be, never have a country to run. And they would ignore it, but they're not ignoring it. So I believe they're with the beast. With the whore, not the beast. So Trump can emerge as a leader of a movement against the daughter of Babylon, against America. Ron DeSantis in Florida never emerged. Neither did the governor of Texas. They are operating as kind of leaders in their state, but formal political office holder leaders. Going rogue, like leading a movement against the country, it hasn't really happened. The Texas guy just, what's his name, Abbott, just wanted to secure his border. He's not trying to raise people against the Fed and remove them. Neither is DeSantis, nor any other governor in the United States. Now, Trump is facing going to jail from this administration in America, so he's got different motives. Okay? And he sees Biden actually destroying America. And he may call for people to rise up against the Fed. There's a lot of ways that could start, you know. I don't know. It might be somebody else. I don't know. I don't know. Right now, Trump is the most likely candidate. So we're in Rafah. We began the invasion 2 days ago. We're bombing, we're invading. And Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, and Biden, both former Obama underlings, said they're withholding the delivery of weapons to Israel because of the Rafah crossing, because they don't want Israel killing civilians with their weapons. As if America never killed civilians in a war, right? It's a joke. Read about the Indian wars in America, what they did to the North American Indians. They took their land away, they killed men, women, and children, burned their houses, burned their lands, tortured them, put them in reservations, all kinds of things. What they do to the Japanese citizens in America that had never expressed any overthrow America policies or anything like that, they rounded up all the Japanese citizens and put them in internment camps in America during World War II. They were like, you know, not the most minimum security prisons, which don't have any gates. They had fences and walls, not so much like, you know, San Quentin walls, but they had fences around it. And they lived in barracks. They didn't pay rent. I think they were provided with food. And they lived there during World War II. Just because we were at war with Japan. And then look what America does to us. The way they want us to treat enemies. These people weren't really enemies. Maybe they would become enemies. Okay? When America bombed Dresden and Hamburg and Berlin, they bombed it so heavily that the people were running out of oxygen. Then they bombed Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And they have a history of killing civilians all over the place. You think they didn't kill civilians during the Iraq War? Of course they did. So what happened, before we study the scriptures, I'm going to explain what I believe happened. Biden didn't want to visit with Netanyahu at the White House for years. All of a sudden, sometime in September, which was the way Obama was, Netanyahu explained he'd go visit, he did visit Obama, and Obama kept him waiting in a room in the White House for hours, just sitting there by himself. I heard Obama get on TV complaining about how obnoxious it was to have to deal with Netanyahu publicly on major broadcasts, not an open mic, outright. So they don't get along at all. Okay? They don't get along at all. Now, Netanyahu goes to visit Biden on September 20th. Okay? A little more than 2 weeks after that, on October 7th, we have the massacre, Holocaust invasion from Gaza. Civilians with Hamas and everything else. Raping, killing, burning, everything, right? Torture, everything. Taking hostages. All the defenses were down in Israel. Why? Nobody gives a good explanation. Response time from the aircraft was about 3.5 hours instead of, 10, 20 minutes. The women in the towers watching the border were phoning in, were being invaded, and they were laughing at them. Help didn't come in 10 or 20 minutes, which would have been normal, even 7 or 8 minutes. It came in 7 or 8 hours. Does that sound right to you? No, it doesn't. Now comes the war. Israel's all riled up. We're going to go get Gaza, right? They start attacking Gaza. They're doing pretty good. Biden's feeding them weapons. Okay? And then comes the cries of genocide, starvation. There's no starvation. Hamas is stealing the food, and they're saying Israel can't. Israel's not letting the humanitarian aid in. It's such bogus stuff. That's why Hamas is stealing the food. They're obviously working with America. Or it looks like they are. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're just screaming genocide to hurt Israel. So Netanyahu's dragging the war out. Why? Nobody knows. And then Lebanon starts attacking us, and then the Houthis start doing all this stuff in the Red Sea. And lately they said they got 600,000 soldiers, and they're going to confront America and Israel directly. So they're probably not in on it with Israel, the Muslim states. They're just being used by America. America's given money to Hamas for years. America gives money to the Palestinian Authority that runs the Slave for Pay program, where they support the families of terrorists that are in jail or dead with a very generous stipend that comes to about $3,000 a month, which is like in America $10,000 a month. More, 12, 15,000. It's a very generous living. And America gives them money and never tells them to stop the Slave for Pay program. It's ridiculous, isn't it? So at this point, you need to realize America is completely against God's people and Israel. Not just Israel, God's people. The way it would start as a Holocaust would be to wipe out Israel, and then the Jews could be picked off all around the world. This goes back to World War II. They asked America to bomb the concentration camps. They wouldn't do it. Okay, they didn't want to kill the people. All right. Then they said bomb the trains, bringing them, not the train tracks, the train bridges, the train tracks. So they can't use the trains to bring them to the concentration camps, which means it would be very difficult to ever get them there. Did America do that? No. Did Britain do it? No. What about Britain turning back ships starting in 1939 and into World War II that were trying to come to Israel with Jews escaping Hitler? What did the UK do? Sent them back to Hitler. Did America do that too? Yes, they did. One ship. They did send them back to Hitler, and they wound up in the camps. Wake up. Now comes 1948. They go to the UN, and Israel declares independence, May 15, 1948. From who? I don't have a clue. The British pulled out of Israel lock, stock, and barrel. There was nobody to declare independence from. They were independent. There was nobody ruling over them. And then they changed the name to Israel. Now, this was Satan trying to get rid of them. And what happened? Previous to this, the United States, you can check all this in Google, the United States and the UN put arms embargoes on Israel and the Arab states, on Israel. So Israel could not get good weapons. Yet they all knew the Arab states were going to be attacking Israel. That was common knowledge. And Russia was allowed, in spite of these embargoes, to sell massive amounts of weapons to the Arab states. Make note that Russia's going to go down too. So, Israel had to go to Czechoslovakia and buy garbage World War II weapons in 1948 and rejuvenate them, and they managed to win the war. And there were more attacks. And they made Israel give back the Sinai Peninsula, which they took from Egypt, which had oil. We were pumping oil. Made us give it back. They made us give back Gaza. Netanyahu was in on that. Now they want us to give back the West Bank. Well, if we can't, we're not going to give back the West Bank, which it looks like we're not. Then what they want to do is get rid of us. The West Bank is a slow way to get rid of us, and the West Bank includes East Jerusalem, which is the site of the temples. So, hold on a second, I gotta see what this is. This might be a problem, I don't know. No, it's just junk. Banks harass you, your cell phone, they send you SMSs all the time. The cell phone companies do, the internet companies, oh, it's just annoying. All right, so Israel's not giving the West Bank back. So now they're going to get rid of Israel. So what is the game they played? Give Israel weapons, build them up, let them fight Lebanon. They couldn't get us to fight the Houthis. They did some bombings to the Houthis that were relatively ineffective, didn't do much, right? And that's about it. And you know, what has Biden been doing this whole time? He's releasing funds to Iran. Billions of dollars that were held on sanctions. So the American regime is clearly pro-Muslim and anti-Israel, anti-Jew, period. You can't deny it. When Nixon was president, we had the 73 war, and he promised Israel that he was going to give them the weapons and things they needed for the war. And when the time came when the war broke out, he said, listen, I'm sorry, fellas, but out of respect for the Muslim Arab states, I'm going to have to hold back your weapons for 5 days. After 5 days, I'll give them to you. There's no good reason for this. The Arabs would be just as mad at him after the 5 days as if he gave it an onset. That's just a stupid story. Stupid. He was hoping that we got destroyed before the end of the 5 days. Now, with the open borders with Biden, we could argue this two ways. One is he wants to destroy America, but I don't know if that's the case. Two is I think he wanted voters, and he wanted to start seeing more of America, you know, turning to the third world people and Muslims and stuff like that. To say Obama's a Muslim is a joke. He says he's a Muslim. He's no Muslim. He's an expire, and he's got a lifestyle that has nothing to do with being a Muslim. That was just his way of trying to get close to the Muslims, like Blinken comes here and tells everybody in Israel how he's half Jewish. He doesn't care about Israel, the Jewish state. He just does it to try to get us to trust him. It's a joke. Okay? So America's been opposed to Israel for a long time. But they also had trouble controlling the Muslim countries and getting the oil moving and getting the profits going into America and stuff like that. So rather than try to go through all the details, they're opposed. America's opposed to Israel and just wants to get rid of Israel. If they can't get rid of Israel slowly, like immediately getting the West Bank back to the Muslims so they could occupy and control New Jerusalem so that ends any risk of a temple with Jews praying and Dome of the Rock area or any of that stuff. Revert back to pre-67, I believe, where you couldn't go anywhere around there if you were an Israeli. And, that's what the game is, okay? And Israel's not going for it. So now they're starting to destroy Israel, and Netanyahu's got a very, very suspicious role in this. And then comes the pier, which is now completed and ready for action. So the pier comes, and Netanyahu doesn't say beans about them opening up a pier in Gaza. He didn't say nothing. Yeah, let them open up a pier. And then they turn around and say, we're going to put military in there. Netanyahu says nothing. So now Biden cuts off the weapons. So what they plan in a nutshell is this. Israel fights Hamas, Israel fights Lebanon, Israel will be fighting with Syria, probably Jordan before it's over, and of course the Houthis and I don't know who else. And Israel's weapons start running down, and America refuses to help them, and there you have it. In the name of genocide and no humanitarian aid, they'll let Israel be destroyed. That's their plan. Okay? That's not God's plan. That's their plan. And it's been working for many, many years. But it ain't gonna work. Okay? It ain't gonna work. We're fighting now in the West Bank all the time. Nablus, Hebron, Jenin, other places. We're fighting the Houthis in a roundabout distance way. We're not fighting Jordan at this time, but there's people in Jordan that want to fight us. We're fighting Iraq. They're shelling us with rockets and missiles regularly now, but very small amounts, drones too. We're fighting Hezbollah. We're fighting Hamas. And they just figure eventually Israel's going to run out of equipment. That's all. And they're just trying to sucker us in. So you start with a tremendous onslaught, hostage taking, rapes, murders, burning people alive. You get the Israelis enraged. They go after Hamas. They refuse to stop. They want to destroy them all. The nations turn against Israel, and the other Arab states attack Israel. And I believe you'll see more of an attack against us than what we're seeing today. When we get deeper into Rafah, and it looks like they're about to lose. Now, it's most likely America and possibly UK and other countries will put troops into Gaza to force a ceasefire on Israel in the name of humanitarian aid and genocide. So be ready for that. It's highly possible. That's why they put the pier there. The pier had no advantages over trucking the aid in. Because the pier, instead of trucking it into Gaza, they floated it into Gaza. But that doesn't help the people. It's at the beach, so they got to deliver it to Gaza on trucks. So all the problems they have with trucks bringing it in is the same exact problem they're going to have with the ships bringing it in. No different. Getting it in the hands of the people, the civilians of Gaza is the trick, and the pier helps not at all. But it does help them bring troops directly into Gaza, not into Israel. The fact that Israel never invited them and Gaza doesn't want them there doesn't mean anything to America. They're in Iraq, they're not leaving. They're in Syria, they're not leaving. Other countries can use that pier, like Iran, like Yemen, okay? And go directly into Gaza. And with American and British troops there stopping it, you can only imagine what kind of a mess Israel will have. God is not going to let Israel be delivered by its military might or the weapons and assistance of other nations. Never gonna happen. Israel has not gotten the land of Lebanon, not gotten the land of Gaza. Okay? They've just been fighting. They haven't had a true victory. They won't until it's done by God through the two witnesses and His way, not the way of the armies and stuff. It's just not going to happen. Not going to happen. Okay? Let me go check the chat and then we'll get into the scriptures. Netanyahu in power. Right now, I don't think he would be voted out of office. That could change. I don't know. I don't know. So we'll cover Jeremiah 50 and 51 today, which depicts the daughter of Babylon, which is America. And I'll take you through it and show you new things. Okay? The word that Jehovah spake against Babel, and then, now the word Babylon is not the Hebrew, it's a Hebrew text. It's Babel, which means confusion. The old Babylon was also called Babel. Babylon is something the church world made up with their English translations, like the word Gentiles. That doesn't exist. They made it. It's goyim. It means heathen. Okay, the Lord spake against Babel and against the land of the Chaldeans. Chaldeans were fortune tellers, soothsayers, astrologers, witches. They lived in Babylon. By Jeremiah the prophet. Declare you among the heathen, they say nations, and publish, the word is goyim, it means the heathen, and publish and set up a standard, that could mean a sign, a symbol. Publish and conceal not, say, Babel is taken. Bel is confounded. Bel is a demonic idol that the Babylonians had. Merodach, again, another one of their idols, is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces. For out of the north, now is that the north of Israel or the north of America? Probably Israel. And I'll explain why as we go. Out of the north there cometh up a nation, it's, a goyim nation, against her, which shall make her land desolate. Okay? And none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. In those days and in that time, saith Jehovah, the children of Israel shall come. Is that word children or sons? It's the sons of Israel, which could imply women. It would, it would work with women and men. The children of Israel is also a decent way of saying it. Children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping, they shall go and seek Jehovah Elohim. So those are your 10 tribes coming out also. That is your next great Exodus. Verse 5, they shall ask the way to Zion. That's Jerusalem, and the word means the parched place, the dry place. With their faces thitherward, faces towards Jerusalem, saying, come and let us join ourselves to Jehovah in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. How about that? And this takes you to Jeremiah 31, but let's keep going. My people hath been lost sheep. So the analogy is we're lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. Well, he's talking about the diaspora, the scattering of the Israelites away from Israel. They forget their resting place because they don't see it as a resting place. Israel is a very, very difficult place to live in. Has been since 1948, so many of the Jews don't want to come. All that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against Jehovah, the habitation of justice, even Jehovah, the hope of their fathers. So they're saying we can go kill them, put them in concentration camps, rape them, murder them, exploit them, rob them. And Jehovah's not going to do anything to them because they sinned against him. They don't understand Hosea 6, verses 1 and 2, which explains there's a 2,000-year punishment on Israel for killing the Messiah. And that time is up because we're in the year of recompenses. So God just lets, during that period, he turns them over to his enemies. But that's not the way it's working now. How is Hamas doing? Not very well. But there is sacrificial chess piece in the game that the nations are playing. They're like a throwaway pawn. They don't care about Hamas. Nor Hezbollah, nor the Houthis, nor the militias in Iraq and Syria. Iran, they care about, not the others. Remove out of the midst of Babel and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans and be as the he-goats before the flock. Well, the he-goats got the horns and they butt and they get aggressive, and they could be protecting the flock. So those that see the sign of the Son of Man in the clouds coming like lightning from the east to the west, seated on the right hand of power, that our believers are going to have everlasting life, as per John 6:40. Those that are believers and see him shall have everlasting life, which doesn't mean you can't die. It means you'll be completely different. You'll be young, extremely strong, healthy, fit, healed of everything wrong with you. Completely different kind of body, where you'll have a heart of flesh, and the Lord will be in your heart and your inward parts and things like this. They shall all know me, from the least to the greatest, this sort of thing. Okay. And that's what the he-goats are. So those that are going to be coming in the second Exodus, which is after the appearing of the Son of Man, I'm not sure how much after, but not a great period of time, they will, probably a very brief period of time, they will sort of like be protectors or shepherds, or whatever, of the general flock. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babel an assembly of great nations. It's Kehillah, congregation, assembly. Assembly's good. Of great nations. That's accurate. The word great is gadol, and heathens, nations, heathen nations, you might say. From the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her, against America. Thence thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Arrows. these going to be bow and arrows? No, I don't believe that. The word for arrows is 2671. It's pronounced chetz. Chetz. Very difficult for an English speaker to pronounce. Okay. Strong's explains this as follows. He calls it a piercer, that is an arrow, by implication a wound of God, a thunderbolt, which could be thrown like a piercer, the shaft of a spear. Okay. Strong's was hundreds of years ago. The arrow is, I believe, the missiles, that type of thing, rockets, missiles. Okay. In the old days, like the Romans, the Greeks, and those kind of people, they would have these large wooden works. When they would siege a city, they would have a bow that was maybe, 15 or 20 feet across with heavy rope. And it was, built on heavy wood frame, that probably weighed 600, 800 pounds or more on wheels. And they'd put these really big arrows in there that were probably, 8 feet, 10 feet long. And they would draw back the string. It would have several people operating it. They'd put it on a hook and then they'd release it, and it would launch an arrow, a huge arrow, into whatever city they were trying to take siege of. So these arrows could destroy property, kill people, and cause problems. Sometimes they just sent regular arrows in. They had fire arrows instead of having a pointed arrowhead. They would have a round piece that was some sort of tar and pitch that would keep burning, and they would have that fired. So the arrows kind of fits in as missiles and rockets. Jeremiah 50 verse 10, and Chaldea shall be a spoil. That's like loot, pillage, plunder, spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith Jehovah. So before the actual destruction of the place is finished, the attacking enemies are going to go loot the place. And we're going to cover more on that as we go. Will they hit the houses? I think they will. Remember, there's probably 12 million illegals that came into America that were, going to file for amnesty. Not all of them, but blah, 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 blah. 70% of them are military-age males. Those are your sleepers, which is, more than 7 million. It's like 8 million or 8.5 million or something like that. Or, if you take it to the smallest level, you're going to come up with 2 million sleeper agents. It's probably between 2 and 7. It's probably in the 4 million range or something like that. It could be more, and they're still coming. That's a huge number, and especially I think it's probably 5 or 7 or something like that. So it greatly outnumbers the American military, let alone the American military stationed in America, which is just a fraction of what they got. They got substantial assets in the Pacific region. South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Guam, Philippines, and protecting all that. They got them all over Europe. They got a bunch all over the Middle East. So, they probably have maybe 500,000-600,000 troops in America. You go going up against a force of 5 million, they outnumber you 10 to 1. And Chaldea shall be a spoil, and all that spoil us shall be satisfied, saith the Lord. So the sleeper agents, when they rise up, which I believe they will, they'll probably go to they're not going to go try to rob the people in the ghettos. They'll go to the high-end communities and do it. Because you were glad, because you rejoiced, O you destroyers of my heritage, destroyers of Israel. Look at what the American setup with Netanyahu's caused. 100,000 people roughly have evacuated their houses by the Lebanese border, many of which got destroyed. And down by Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon got hit very, very hard. Sderot got hit very, very hard. And most of those people returned back to Gaza, but some still haven't come back. Because you are grown fat as the heifer of grass and bellow as bulls. Okay, fat means rich, and bellow is bulls. A bull's an aggressive animal. They're bellowing by pushing people around. Well, you're going to kill people in Gaza. That's genocide. No, we don't want our weapons used for that. We're cutting your weapons off. They don't say that until Netanyahu starts the exercise of invading Gaza. Then it's too late. Then they say it. Not so hard to see the footprints here. Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, a desert. The latter of the nations. God only has 70 nations, and I believe the last one would have been America. The UN has a lot more, but God's not very interested in what the UN does. He's interested in how he sees it. And it's just 70. And America is, I'm quite certain, the last one. Your mother shall be sore confounded. This is the daughter of Babylon. This is the whore riding on the beast. This is Columbia, as they call it. This is her statue on the Capitol building. She's the Statue of Liberty. She's the icon in Columbian motion pictures, holding the torch, the light, looking like maybe it's a woman, maybe it's a man, looking like a woman. We don't know. It's flat-chested on a pedestal. Okay, this is Columbia. What is the capital of America? District of Columbia. It's not part of the 50 states. It's a city that runs everything. That's where all the embassies are. In D.C., they're not in other places. Consulates, which is a lesser thing, are in other places. Okay? Your mother, that means that they've been with the whore. Okay? The whore was the same big unclean spirit thing that was working in the old Babylon, which is like Iraq, Nineveh, and all that. Okay? It's the same whore working with America, building up America like she built up Iraq with lying, witchcraft, sorcery, spells, enchantments, idolatry, all of that. Okay? Sin all over the place. Because of the wrath of Jehovah, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Every one that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished, and hiss at all her plagues. Well, Egypt got a lot of plagues before the Exodus, so doesn't surprise me. Put yourselves in array. It may be that they don't, when the time comes, they're not going to want the Israelites and the true believers to leave. They're to try to keep them there. That would be a likely thing, like Pharaoh did, and it happened in Babylon, so it's a very likely occurrence. It kind of happened with the Romans in 70 AD. They trapped them and starved them out, and then eventually got them. Put yourselves in array against Babel, round about, all you that bend the bow. Shoot at her, spare no arrows. So I would be thinking, shoot at her, spare no missiles or rockets, for she hath sinned against Jehovah. They're not attacking her because they're trying to punish her for what she did to Jehovah. Just God raises them up to do this. They're not doing it on behalf of Jehovah openly in their hearts. They want to help Jehovah. That's not it. I don't believe that. Shout against her round about. She hath given her hand. Her foundations are fallen. Her walls are thrown down. For it is the vengeance of Jehovah. It is the vengeance of Jehovah. Take vengeance upon her as she hath done, do to her. So let's break this down. Her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down. They go against, shout against her round about. That's Jeremiah 50:15. What do they do in Zechariah 12? They surround us and lay siege to it. What are they doing here? Against her round about. They're reaping, America's reaping what it sowed by doing this to Israel. This is the year of recompenses we're in now. They're getting their payback. Take vengeance upon her, as she hath done, do unto her. Well, what she did to Israel is going to be done to her. I'm going to be bringing this out as we go. Cut off the sower from Babylon. That's the one who plants the agricultural seeds. And him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. He handles the sickle during the harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn every one to his people, and they shall flee every one to his own land. So they leave America and they go where they came from. They might be going to Mexico, Honduras, Chile, Peru, Afghanistan, who knows, okay? Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away first. The king of Assyria hath devoured him. Now that's the past, okay? And last, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, hath broken his bones. So we need to expound on this, as they say in the seminaries, which I never attended. Nebuchadnezzar, well, let's go back to Assyria. Assyria was the one that attacked Israel and scattered the 10 tribes. They got punished. They got it already. That's over. Babylon did the same thing, with Solomon's temple, and the people went voluntarily to Babylon, and the rest of them got killed. That was the Nebuchadnezzar. So and that was Judah. Nebuchadnezzar attacked Judah. 10 tribes were scattered, and that's what this Nebuchadnezzar, which, for lack, if there's a change, it would be Biden/Obama, I guess, but really Biden, attacking Judah. That's what's here today. So that's why he's referring to him as Nebuchadnezzar from Babylon, who attacked Judah, because he's attacking Judah. The 10 tribes are not here, so he can't be attacking the 10 tribes, or he would. Hath broken his bones. So it's not enough that the predatory animals eat the flesh, then they chew on the bones. Breaking the bones is they crush them to get the marrow and stuff, right? All right. So it's worse than just eating the flesh. Therefore, thus saith Jehovah of armies, Elohim Yisrael, behold, I will punish the king of Babel and his land as I have punished the king of Assyria. Well, devastation. Okay. And I will bring Israel again to his habitation. That's the land of Israel. And he shall feed on Carmel, that's near Haifa, and Bashan, that's Syria. Checking. It's Jordan. Sorry, Jordan. And his soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim. And Mount Ephraim is located. I'm not sure where this is. Let me keep looking. Jordan, I think it's Jordan. I know Gilead's Jordan, so I think Ephraim's probably Jordan. In those days, I'm not sure, but it's what I think. Okay, in those days, and at that, I can look it up. Let's do it the right way. Um, Mount Ephraim. Okay, let's find out where it is. I think it's Jordan. Okay. In those days and in that time, saith Jehovah, the lawlessness of Israel shall be sought for, and there shall be none. He took our sins away, and the sins of Judah, and they shall not be found. For I will pardon them whom I reserve. Well, and that pardoning them opens up the door for him to bless them. Go up against the land of Merathaim. That's one of the unclean spirits from old Babylon. It's actually another name for Babylon. Even against it and against the inhabitants of Pekod. It's the same thing in other part of Babylon. It says Babylon. Waste and utterly destroy after them, saith Jehovah, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. A sound of battle is in the land. And of great destruction. how that's in America. How is the hammer of the whole earth, well, it can only be America, cut asunder and broken? How is Babel become a desolation among the nations? That's their, great country, the dream, go live in America. Yeah, many years ago, maybe not now. I have laid a snare on thee, for thee. I've laid a snare for thee. This is Jeremiah 50:24. God put a snare on America, and I've been revealing to you what it is. And thou art also taken, O Babel, that's America, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against Jehovah. So I don't think that the Biden is attempting to destroy America on purpose. I don't think he knows anything. Jehovah hath opened his armory, and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation, his anger. For this is the work of Adonai Jehovah of hosts, of armies, in the land of the Chaldeans. Come against her from the utmost border. That would probably be Canada or Alaska, more likely. That would be their utmost border. Open her storehouses. That word would have the implication of food. So the government probably has tremendous food storages for themselves and the other Satan bots, military and stuff like that, and in general, supermarket chains and so forth. Cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing of her be left. That's a full destruction. Slay all her bullocks. Now, that's not talking about slaying the bulls. He's talking about, what are the bulls? Probably the police, the feds, the ones that push the others around. Let them go down to the slaughter. Woe unto them, for their day is come, the time of their visitation. The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babel, that would be you all, plus the Israelites, the 10 tribes and the 2 tribes, Judah and Levi, to declare in Zion the vengeance of Jehovah. So they declare it in Israel, so they're coming to Israel, right? The vengeance of Jehovah Elohim, the vengeance of his temple. Why is he saying that? Because in the old days, the same Hur had the Babylonian army destroy the temple. It's the same Hur. Call together the archers against Babel, all you that bend the bow. Come against it round about. Well, probably missile launchers, could be arrows, probably missile and rocket launchers, round about. Well, we know they reap what they sow in Zechariah 12. They lay siege around Judah and Jerusalem. When the 2 witnesses burn them up in Zechariah 12:6, they burn them up round about on the right hand and the left hand. So they're reaping what they sow. So the same thing they're affecting on Israel is happening to them. This is probably going to happen right after Zechariah 12, my guess, or maybe the same time. Call together the archers against Babel, all you that bend the bow. Come against it round about. See, reap what you sow. Let none thereof escape. So since you all are going to escape, it appears to me that you get out before the actual heavy-duty attack. Probably after ruler fighting ruler, because it says those of you that survived the sword of Zion come to mind. So probably that's it. Against it round about, and none thereof escape. Recompense her, year of recompenses we're in now. Be over around August 1st, give or take a few days, I think. It could have started before August 1st-ish, 2023. It could have been going for a few weeks. I don't have the exact dates and days. The Lord obviously didn't want us to have that. Okay? uh, according to her work, according to all that she hath written, that she hath done, do unto her reap what you sow, for she hath been proud against Jehovah, against the Holy One of Israel. Well, yeah, obviously they think they can, just thwart his plans and get rid of Israel. So the day of recompense, the year of recompenses, and the year of redemption both are affiliated with the day of vengeance. So there's some sort of an overlap. The day of vengeance appears to be in both of them. The overlap could be this big, it could be this big, and we don't know. So this stuff could go down any day now. Really. Netanyahu is, telling Biden administration, well, we're going into Rafah anyway. We don't care. So all her lovers have left her. America's never really was a lover of her, but maybe some of you could make a case that for times she was, but she certainly isn't today. And they're going in to Rafah anyway, which is going to infuriate all the nations. So time is getting very short. So lift up your heads, your redemption draweth nigh. Jeremiah 50, verse 30. Therefore shall her young men fall in the street, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day. So it appears that the men of war, the military, which would be Coast Guard, Air Force, Marines, Army, Navy, that are in America anyway, or around America, in America, I guess you should say, are going to all get killed. Be cut off in that day, saith Jehovah. Now, I don't know what will happen to them if they're floating around in the ocean, in the Pacific or the Mediterranean or the Atlantic in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. Maybe they all go anyway. I don't know. It could be all of them, no matter where they are. Or it could likely be just the ones in the military that are in America at the time. I don't know for sure. These are the very fine details that are not given. Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith Jehovah, saith Adonai Jehovah of armies. The day is come, the time that I will visit thee. A visitation is very devastating. And the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. And I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him. So the fire, apparently Jehovah kindles it. Jehovah gets this fire going, and we're going to reference Sodom and Gomorrah later on about this today, of course. Thus saith Jehovah of armies, that's what hosts means, armies, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captive held them fast. They refused to let them go. This could be past in the past, and it could reproduce again. It happened with Babylon and happened with Egypt. And you could kind of say with Rome too, by locking them in Jerusalem, sort of, but not really. So it may happen again, and the two witnesses could certainly alleviate that problem without a lot of difficulty. Start dumping the plagues on them. Their Redeemer year of redemption is strong. Jehovah of armies is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause. How about judge their cause, not plead, judge their cause, that he may give rest that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babel. Disquiet doesn't mean disquiet, it means make them tremble. This is reap what you sow. In Jeremiah 30, the Israelites clutch their guts. They're so scared, like a woman in travail giving birth, and their faces turn pale. This is like that, sort of. They'll be shaking. Reap what you sow. A sword is upon them, and that kind of tells us it'll happen to Israel before them. Or maybe at the same time. Pray about that. Does it happen to Israel before them, or at the same time, or after them? Or, let's pray about that we get the right answer. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith Jehovah, and upon the inhabitants of Babel, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall the liars, they're all liars in the America, the media, the government, the police, the military leaders, the corporate heads, they're all liars. And they shall dote. Now, dote doesn't really mean, well, it does. It means like Biden's a doting idiot, A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. They'll be confused. A sword is upon their horses and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her. And they shall become as women I hear something, I don't know what I'm hearing. And they shall become as women, a sword is upon her treasure, and they shall be robbed. What happened to the Jews with Hitler in World War II? The government's corrupt. Everything is junk in Israel, basically, including and especially the government. And that goes back to 1948. Okay, I'll resume where I was. I don't remember what verse I was on. Let me go back here. I think I finished Jeremiah 50. What I did do is I turned on my backup system. So if this goes down, I'll just switch quickly to the backup system. No, I don't think we finished 50. All right, we'll pick it up in Jeremiah 50, verse 35. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith Jehovah, and is upon the inhabitants of Babel. Same thing with America. And upon her princes and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars. They're all liars. I covered that. And the dote. I covered that. Upon their horses and their chariots, and upon all the mingled people. Well, America's the melting pot. That's why it says the mingled people. You can get a good idea, really, is America. Upon their horses, that's Zeus, and upon their chariots, that's probably their tanks and armored personnel carriers, mobile artillery, all that junk. It could be their jets and whatever. so the sword is upon it, so it'll be destroyed. Probably the sleeper agents are doing that. They're going to soften America up for the invasion of the other nations. And we'll cover what other nations in a moment. And upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women, since like Israel in the Holocaust that were afraid to fight, and her treasures, and they shall be robbed. A drought is upon her waters. Now, I don't think we've really seen this in its fullness. And they shall be dried up, for it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols. I've done many videos in the past showing you all the idols in Washington, D.C. and everything. Therefore, the wild beasts of the desert, the Statue of Liberty is the biggest, most famous one. It's the statue of Columbia up on a pedestal holding the light. Come to me, has the Roman pillars there. Like the Greek and Roman temples, it's actually a temple to these demonic people and stuff like that. Therefore, the beasts of the desert with the wild beasts of the islands shall dwell there. Those are the animals. And the owls shall dwell therein. The owl is a very famous, popular demonic idol. In that retreat they have in Sonoma County, California, probably 60 or 80 miles north of San Francisco, they have a retreat, and the presidents and all the mucky mucks go there, and who knows what kind of insane, sick things they do. But the theme of that is a picture of the owl. In other countries, bad countries, I saw people sacrificing by fire to an owl by their altar, where they were burning things to the owl. So what God's telling them is, you like the owl so much, we'll give the owls your land to live in after you're dead. The owl shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever. That's how mad he is. Neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. As God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Jehovah, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. And the way he got rid of Sodom and Gomorrah was with fire and brimstone. And it smells like sulfur. You can go there and pick up pieces of it. It smells exactly like wooden match heads, sulfur. And nobody lives there, and they got burned up. And that's how America's going to get it. First, it'll be plundered and pillared, and they'll get killed during that process. And then I imagine the invaders will leave with the spoil. Remember, the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous, and then they'll attack Israel probably, or they'll plan on doing it. And these wealth and riches will wind up in Israel. So don't fret about the stuff you're leaving in America. You'll get it back, I think. I think that's how it'll play out. The wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous is the way God works. So, the two witnesses told Lot, we can't do nothing till we get you and your family out. And then they got him out, and then you'll see later, well, I'll read it to you. It's, where is it? Genesis 19 or 13. I'll find it. I made a note of it. Genesis 19:22. I'll read. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. That's where Lot went to. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then Jehovah rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. So the two witnesses were probably the two, as my guess, who took them out. But Jehovah himself rained fire and brimstone down from heaven. It could be the two witnesses may burn the place up, but I'm leaning more towards Jehovah doing it. Okay? That's how it ends. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Okay. I don't know the pillar of salt relevancy in this, except the people that are not wanting to leave, are just going to stay there. Jeremiah 50:41. Behold, the people shall come from the north of Israel, I believe, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coasts of the earth. They shall hold the bow and the lance, and they are cruel, and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, every one put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. Now, who do we know that very recently on October 7th attacked Israel in the south near Gaza and showed no mercy? Got it? The king. Now, it could also be North Korea. Chinese can be that way. Russians could be that way. Not so easily, but it could happen. The king of Babel hath heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. This is the reap what you sow again. Jeremiah 30. They're terrified. They're so scared. The Israelites are so scared. They clutch their loins, and their faces turn pale like a woman in travail. But they get delivered. This is Jacob's trouble. Great is Jacob's trouble, but he would be saved out of it. Great is the daughter of Babylon's trouble, but she will never be saved out of it. Okay, this is the reap what you sow. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong. But I will make them run away, suddenly run away from her. And who is the chosen man? Now, this appears to me very plain that the daughter of Babylon military is in Israel, near the Jordan. The swelling of the Jordan would be, I might guess, where the Jordan meets the Sea of Galilee. It's about 4 or 5 miles from here. There's a bridge that passes over that area in the road. It's right near the kibbutz that has the baptism site over there with the concrete and the walkways and the rails. Unto the habitation of the strong, that's us. So this would be post Zechariah 12. So Zechariah 12 happened, and we saw the Son of Man in the clouds, and we got the eternal life, and the two witnesses are with us, and that's why they're running away. The soldiers run away from her. So I guess the military that is abroad didn't get killed yet. Well, they run away, they didn't get killed. So maybe they all don't get killed if they're abroad. And who is the chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who appoint over her would be the judges, which is Elijah and Apostle John. And who is like me, and who will appoint me the time, and who is that shepherd that will stand before me? And that could mean Yeshua, it could mean the two witnesses as the judges, it could mean the anointed prince in the temple from the line of David. I don't know which one. They're all candidates. Could be referencing all of them, maybe, I don't know. That's, I can't help you with much on that. I don't know exactly. Hindsight will be 20/20 vision. We can pray that the Lord reveals this to us if you want to. Therefore hear you the counsel of Jehovah, that he hath taken against Babel, and his purpose that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. And what is draw them out? It's Sachar. Sachar. Could be tear, could be drag them out by the hair kind of thing. Shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Okay. Okay. At the noise of the taking of Babel, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard among the nations. So there's a shake. Doesn't say an earthquake. It could be moved. It could be like psychologically moved. You know. Jeremiah 51:1. Thus saith Jehovah, behold, I will raise up against Babel and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind. And the word for that is spirit, ruach. It can mean a wind, it can mean a spirit. And as you'll read later on, it's the spirit of the Medes, mean, evil, wicked warriors. Not the wind. And will send unto Babel fanners, that they shall fan her and shall empty her land. Now these are the fanners when you got the tares and the wheat. They fan it, they separate the tares, the junk, which gets burned up. Remember, they get burned up, right? They're junk. And the wheat gets taken into his barn in Matthew 13. The tares are the children of the devil, they get burned up, or they get taken and bound and put in the pit until the day of judgment. And the wheat, the good ones, is gathered into the barn. The barn is Israel. And shall empty her and empty her land. They get all the good stuff out, apparently. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. That's again a reap what you sow. That's what they did to Israel in the day of trouble. In Zechariah 12, they surrounded us. They will. Hasn't happened. And the two witnesses burn them up on the right hand and the left all around. So basically you could say, come to us for your worst nightmare. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigadine, in his outfit, and spare you not her young men, destroy utterly all her hosts. The host is army. Destroy utterly all her army. The word for army is kol, which means all. So maybe they all get killed. Maybe just the ones in America get killed. I'm not sure. It says all the military, so I imagine it's all of them wherever they are. Thus the slain shall now, if there's any that are real believers, I'm pretty sure the Lord would save them. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his God, of Jehovah of hosts, of armies, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babel, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her lawlessness. For this is the time of the Lord's vengeance, day of vengeance. He shall render unto her a recompense. Year of recompenses, day of vengeance. Getting it? Isaiah 34:8, Isaiah 61, Isaiah 63. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. The Lord arranged this. He was the golden cup. Used to be the richest country. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Suddenly, remember that. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. That's like a salve, a lotion. If so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babel, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. So many of the people that live in Babylon are going to see the writing on the wall. They're going to see it coming, and they're living in America. Are going to go back to their own countries. It shows us that later on too. We'll see it. Jehovah hath brought forth our righteousness. Well, when you see him, you shall be like him. You shall appear in the clouds, seated on the right hand of power, like the lightning from the east to the west. That's how it happens. The word for brought forth is, let's see how Strong's puts it in English. Oh, he has like a million translations for it. I would say brought out, brought forth. And then it has the word et. Let's see how Strong's treats that. It really doesn't get translated into English. Righteousness, come. Now, is that salvation or righteousness? That's righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of Jehovah Elohim. So they're going to Israel, Zion, and then they tell us when they're there what happened, because the internet, I imagine, isn't working and stuff like that. Make bright the arrows. Well, the rockets or missiles glow, but it could be a polished arrow shaft is referencing, but they do glow. And the word for bright is barar. Polish, cleanse. No. Yeah, it could mean make bright, shiny, clean it up. Gather the shields. Jehovah hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device is against Babel to destroy it, because it is the vengeance, day of vengeance, year of recompenses, year of redemption of Jehovah, the vengeance of his temple. Now that's a throwback to the old days when the actual Babylonians came to Israel and destroyed the temple and burned it and all of that, okay? So that, again, is like a reap what you sow, okay? Now, we need to discuss who the Medes are, which I got my notes on that. And yes, Iran fire, so I'm going to get there in a minute. Hang on a second. This is a joke. Okay, the Medes. Who are the Medes today? Well, northwestern Iran, Azerbaijan, which is near Iran, Kurdistan, and parts of Kermanshah, wherever the heck that is, in that region. So Iran hits Israel, well, they hit the daughter of Babylon. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babel. What are the walls? Well, the walls are thousands of miles of walls, probably 2,000 miles anyway, I guess, between Mexico and America. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babel. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen. Prepare the ambushes. For Jehovah hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babel. The ambushes. What does that sound like to you? Does it sound like the sleeper agents attacking the bases in America, the military bases, destroying them, capturing weapons and stuff? These bases are typically very poorly defended, you know. And it will for sure be so, like Israel was on October 7th. You can count on that one, I think. Large, substantial bases, you know, in America that have, you know, missile systems, aircraft, and critical things, may have, you know, tens of thousands of soldiers working there, and they might run around with a police force counting Department of Defense, military police, and MPs of, you know, maybe 75, 100, 150, and, you know, there's maybe 20% on duty at a time. So you got a collection of, you know, 4 or 5 or 6 at each gate on a shift. And then you got several of them driving the perimeter of the fence. And then some of them answer calls. They might have a few posted at very secure areas. They might have 1 or 2 guys there with a gun posted. They're usually going to have just pistols. They might have M16s. That's it. It would be highly irregular to see them patrolling in tanks and things like that. They have Jeeps, they might have armored Humvees, but the soldiers on the base are generally unarmed. The only time they would be armed is if they were doing training at the range, or doing a march with a rifle, and then they may not be carrying ammo, just the rifle empty. Who knows? They don't want them running around with guns. They can't keep personal firearms on the base. They can't keep them in their bunk. So if a swarm ambushes a military base with these sleeper agents, the MPs are going to be overwhelmed and destroyed quickly. I mean, they'll have, you know, 300-400 hit the base or more, you know, 1,500 or whatever. They'll hit the base with rifles, pistols, hand grenades, shoulder-fired weapons. They might have pickup trucks with 50 cals mounted on them, like a technical. I don't know what they'll do. They can have access to Katyushas, mortars, all kinds of stuff. And their goal will be to kill the soldiers and then loot the base for weapons, other valuable goods, communications equipment, medical equipment, food storage, you know, night vision goggles, all kinds of stuff. Ballistic armor, ballistic helmets, all kinds of stuff that you get. Millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of stuff out of these bases. They might take tanks, they might take armored vehicles, they might take regular vehicles, they might take helicopters and planes. I don't know what all they're going to take, but they're going to take. They're going to take. They'll go to the PX, the Post Exchange, and they'll loot that place. That's minor though. I imagine a lot of females will get raped. They'll probably torture a lot of people, cut their heads off and limbs, and drag them behind vehicles, and stuff like that. That's what they do. In general, the soldiers won't have what to fight with. What are you going to do? They'll have to try to make it to the arsenal, but the arsenal would be locked up. They wouldn't have the key. They wouldn't be able to get in. If you're going to go to a base that's got 25, 35,000 soldiers assigned to it, you're not going to find an MP military police force of 2,000 protecting the base. You're not going to get that. Okay? Even if you did, that wouldn't mean a lot. They would just come with 5 or 10,000. You're not going to, they don't have those kind of numbers. They don't dedicate that, I don't even think the Pentagon is protected by that many soldiers, military police. Oh, they've probably got several hundred, 200, 300, 400 around the Pentagon on a shift, or, something like that, but that's about it. Maybe not even. They might only have 60 or 70 or 50, they don't do it. They just don't have that much of a care. But they will make, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. That is what I think the ambushes are. (51:13) in Jeremiah. Oh, that dwellest upon many waters. Well, they say the Vatican is the daughter of Babylon. It don't dwell on many waters. They say Mecca and Medina is in Saudi Arabia. They're in the desert. It's a joke. America, 8,000 rivers, about that many lakes, I guess. You got the Great Lakes, too. You got the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Gulf of Mexico. Come on, it's America. Abundant in treasures, it's America. Thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. Oh, they're very covetous. Jehovah of hosts hath sworn by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee. The caterpillar is like associated with a baby locust or something like that. I don't quite understand that. That's what the word seems to take it. But caterpillar walks across the ground. It sort of makes me think of a tread on a tank, and like a tank covering the ground like a caterpillar. See what I'm saying? He hath made the earth by his power, he hath established the world by his wisdom, and hath stretched out the heaven by his understanding. When he uttereth his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heaven, and he causeth the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightning with rain, and bringeth forth the wind out of his treasure. So it says, when he utters his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens. You see, we're protected by a firmament that keeps the water out. So maybe the firmament is I don't know, as a guess, 100,000 feet up or something like that. And then on the other side of that is the waters, and he opened the gates of the firmament to flood the earth during the floods. So the earth on the other side of the firmament is not a vacuum, it's full of water. So if you're going to launch a rocket ship up there, it would have to be a rocket ship till it hit the firmament. It would have to have some extremely potent, devastating way to get through the firmament, which is near impossible. I don't think it could happen at all, because that firmament is holding back gazillions and gazillions of tons of water. And then if it ever did get through, all the water would come crashing down on Earth if they ever did get into space. And that's never happened since the flood. And then their rocket ship would need to be a submarine going through the water, unless all the water fell down to the earth, and then there'd be no more earth. You see how absurd that stuff is with them? Okay, absurd. He maketh lightnings with rain and bringeth forth the wind out of his treasure. So when they tell you they got weather weapons and they can control the weather, who are you going to believe? Jeremiah 51 verse 16 or them? I'll go with Jeremiah 51:16. Every man is brutish by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. The portion of Yaakov is not like them. That's Israel. He was the father of the 12 elders, where the 12 tribes were named after each one of them. For he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The rod could be thought of as enforcing the inheritance, right? All he did with the rod. Jehovah of hosts is his name. The word for name is correct. It's Shem. Okay. Thou art my battle axe, speaking to Israel, to Jacob. Thou art my battle axe. Yes, we're going to fight. And weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the heathen, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms, and with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. And with thee also will I break in pieces man and woman, and with thee will I break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock, and with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen. And with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers. And I will render unto Babylon to all the I told you we're going to be fighting. It may be after the Zechariah 12, and maybe after the second Exodus and stuff, because it says we'll have troublous times in Daniel 9:24 to 27. So it could be we'd be fighting and getting more land back as we go. It could be. I have to do a whole study on that, but it's just mentioning it, okay? And I will render unto Babylon to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion. So America is going to do evil, and they have done evil in Israel, a lot of evil, and they're going to do more. And it says, in your sight, saith Jehovah. You see, the two witnesses are going to reveal all this stuff that they did, and the people coming from the daughter of Babylon to the next great Exodus, Israel will also explain things, but it'll all be opened up to them. I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith Jehovah, which destroyeth all the earth, and I will stretch out my hand upon thee, and roll thee down from the rocks, and I will make thee a burnt mountain. Now, it's a big empire, America, so it's called a mountain, and which sort of like a continent, but it kind of controls North America, doesn't it? Which is a continent. It controls Canada, it controls Mexico, it controls the Caribbean, and basically. So in that regard, it would be a mountain, sort of. And they shall not take thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations, but thou shalt be desolate forever, saith Jehovah. So, it's showing you how bad it's going to be for them. Set you up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations, the heathen, against her, call together against her the kingdoms of Arat, Mini, and Ashkenaz. Those are the former stand states with Russia, with the USSR. And they seem to be in alliance with Russia, let's see. Well, they're going to attack. I guess Russia's going to be attacking America if there's anything left of it. It's a lot of people that want to kill Russia these days. Okay, a captain against her caused the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. Well, that could be tanks again, I'm not sure. Prepare against her the nations, the heathens, with the kings of the Medes, back to the Medes again, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominions. So Iran's really going to go after America, it looks like, and some of the other countries in there. And the land shall tremble in sorrow, for every purpose of Jehovah shall be performed against Babel, to make the land of Babel a desolation without any inhabitant. And he's really going to set an example for this one. The mighty men of Babel have forborne to fight. That's what happened to the Jews in World War II. They were afraid to fight. Reap what you sow. They have remained in their holds, their might hath failed. They became as women, they have burned her dwelling places, they burned houses, her bars are broken. One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babel that his city is taken at one end. So they don't have any electricity if they're running foot messengers. No comms. And the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burned. That's like the swampy areas with fire. And the men of war are affrighted. For thus saith Jehovah of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babel is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her, yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. When harvest comes and they thresh, they get rid of the tares, they burn them up, and they gather the wheat into the barn, which is Israel, which is your next great exodus. Nebuchadrezzar, the king of Babel, hath devoured me, he hath crushed me, he hath made me an empty vessel, he hath swallowed me up like a dragon, he hath filled his belly with my delicacies, he hath cast me out. That's the actual king of Babylon in the old days, and he was probably operating with the Whore of Babylon, the Columbia thing, and he's punishing this Columbia thing today, the Whore of Babylon. The violence done to me and to my flesh be upon Babel, shall the inhabitants of Zion say. So they have probably listened to this type of preaching and wake up. And my blood upon the inhabitants of Chaldea shall Jerusalem say. Therefore, thus saith Jehovah, behold, I will plead thy cause and take vengeance for thee. Vengeance, day of vengeance. And I will dry up her sea and make her springs dry. Don't believe that happened yet. And Babel shall become heaps, a dwelling place for dragons, and astonishment and a hissing without an inhabitant. They shall roar together like lions, they shall yell as lions' whelps. In their heat, sounds like an orgy or something, I will make their feasts, and I will make them drunken, that they may rejoice and sleep a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith Jehovah. I will bring them down like lambs to the slaughter. They're not going to know it. They're not going to really fight back. Like rams with he-goats. A ram would probably fight back, so I guess some will fight back. How is Sheshach taken, and how is the praise of the whole earth, that's America, surprised? How is Babylon become an astonishment among the nations? The sea has come up upon Babel and is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. I think this is after he kindles a fire about it and it's burning, and I think he has the sea come across America, which is, I don't know how you do that, but he would. And that puts the fires out and makes it look like a desert place when the water recedes. Her cities are a desolation, a dry land, and a wilderness, a land wherein no man dwelleth, neither so it dries up. No man dwelleth, neither does any son of man. So there's nobody living there anymore. And I will punish Bel, that's the demon that was in the old Babylon, the Iraq one, and I will, which is the same demons that are working in America today, so that's where you see this punishment. And I will bring forth out of his mouth that which he hath swallowed up, and the nations shall not flow together any more unto him. Well, that happens in two ways. They have their embassies in Washington, D.C., and they go to the UN in New York, and that's where the nations flow together unto him. Yea, and it's only America that could say that, because that's where the UN is there. Yea, the wall of Babel shall fall. My people, go you out of, that's the wall between Mexico and America. My people, go you out of the midst of her, his people, that would be you all. Okay? And deliver you every man his soul from the fierce anger of Jehovah. And lest your heart faint, and you fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land, a rumor shall come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Well, the rumors of war and attack and civil war have been going around in America for a while. And violence in the land, you really have good high degree of that now, higher than I can remember. And the ruler fighting ruler hasn't happened yet, but it will. It could be construed as like, Florida going against the federal government and Texas going against the federal government. I don't know. But I think it's going to get a lot worse. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will Therefore, behold, the day come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babel, like, Statue of Liberty and many others. The woman on top of the Capitol building. I mean, it's loaded with these things. And her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slaying shall fall in the midst of her. Then the heaven and the earth and all that is therein shall sing for Babel, for the spoiler shall come to her from the north, saith Jehovah. As Babel hath caused the slain of Israel to fall, I've explained some of that to you, so at Babel shall fall the slain of all the land. It says Hieres, which could mean the land of Babel, this thing. You could say of all the earth. I don't know how you get there with that one. So it's a little bit of a grammatical challenge. I think it shall fall on the land, which is, Babel. You that have escaped the sword, go away, stand not still, remember Jehovah afar off, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. That's your marching orders when the time comes. You head to Jerusalem. We are confounded because we have heard reproach. Shame hath covered our faces, for strangers are come into the sanctuary of Jehovah's house. Now, it could conceivably be the next temple and this happens, but I think it's a throwback to the past, not something that they're going to happen right here. Wherefore, behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will do judgment upon her graven images, and through all her land, the wounded shall groan. They're going to be wounded, laying in the street. They're just going to die there. Nobody's going to help them. Though Babel should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, yet from me shall spoilers come unto her, saith Jehovah. The wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. Remember that. A sound of a cry cometh from Babel, and great destruction from the land of the Chaldeans, because Jehovah had spoiled Babel and destroyed out of her great voice when her waves do roar like great waters. A noise of their voice is uttered. Because the spoiler is come unto her, even upon Babel, and her mighty men are taken. Every one of their bows is broken, all their weapons gone, broken. For Jehovah Elohim of recompenses, year of recompenses, shall surely requite, pay back, I guess you could say. And I will make drunk her princes and her wise men and her captains and her rulers, and the mighty men, and they shall sleep a perpetual sleep. You don't drink booze and do a perpetual sleep. The cup of the wrath of the Lord would do that, I suppose. And not wake, saith the king, whose name is Jehovah of armies. Thus saith Jehovah of armies, the broad walls of Babel shall be utterly broken, the walls between Mexico and America, and her high gates shall be burned with fire. And that's not the walls, that's her other gates. And the people shall labor in vain, and the folk in the fire, remember, they're going to get burned up. He's going to kindle fires in and around their cities, and they shall be weary. Oh, they're weary already. The word which Jeremiah the prophet commanded Shariah, the son of Neriah, the son of Messiah, it's not Messiah, it's another word. When he went, it's Moshe. They got it all screwed. It's Moshe. Nothing to do with Yeshua's name. When he went with Zedekiah, the king of Judah, into Babel in the 4th year of his reign, and this Sariah was a quiet prince. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that should come upon Babel, even these words that are written against Babel. And Jeremiah said to Sariah, when thou comest to Babel and shall see and shall read all these words, then shalt thou say, O Jehovah, thou hast spoken against this place, to cut off that none shall remain in it, neither man nor beast, but that it should be desolate forever. And, Israel had desolate periods at times, And it shall be when thou hast made an end of reading the book, that thou shalt bind the stone to it and cast it into the midst of Euphrates. And thou shalt say, thus shall Babel sink, and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her. It ain't getting out of it. Okay? And they shall be weary, the ones that live there. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. Those are long passages. Let's take a quick look. Let me take a quick look at the chat, see if I got anything I got to answer. I do try to answer questions. I don't see any questions. Okay, so I hope, let me see if anybody mailed me any prayer requests. I always try to get those covered. Nope. All right, so I covered what I was supposed to cover today. I hope this embellished it, opened it up more, and I'm not changing any doctrine on this, but I think I did embellish it or, open it up a little better. So pray for better videos. Pray for me and my wife to be happy, healthy, and whole. And pray for our peace and joy and finances. And pray for us to be happy, healthy, and whole. And our animals and pets, which are rescues, to be happy, healthy, and whole. And pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And remember the offerings. And I will, you want to subscribe if you want when the eggs start hitting the fan in Israel, and they will, and you want to find out about it quick, subscribe and hit the notifications bell, because I do emergency live streams when stuff happens several times a day and night at odd hours, and you'll get noticed and you'll know what's going on probably 8 to 12 hours before the mainstream media will figure out what's happening, if this is of interest to you. And it only takes you 2 seconds to hit the like button. Appreciate that. It helps with the algorithm on YouTube. And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And I am out. And let's see what we did today. We went over 2 hours. We went over. Oh well. Okay, I'm out, guys.